Hello, welcome for the before last concert of this series of 10. So we're number 9, and today I'm going to go over Belleville and perform it for you. Belleville is a composition by Django Reinhardt. It's also a neighborhood in Paris, okay? And Django named this song after this neighborhood. Probably was different back then than it is now. I think it was more like a village. So, this is the album, Django the Impressionist. Belleville, July 1950. That's the last record here. So there's 2 tracks. And one is today, the other is tomorrow, is going to be Nuage. So these are 2 big chunks, Belleville and Nuage. Because it's a time when Django starts recording on tape, it's not anymore a 3-minute wax recording cylinder or something like that. It's really like tape, and there is like longer amount of time for him to express his ideas. So he's not stuck to like a 2.5, 3-minute format. Now he can develop his ideas as much as he wants. And that's what he's going to do in Belleville and in Nuage. It's going to take more time, and he's going to unfold like some of the most incredible and marvelous set of ideas of his repertoire. So, hello guys, hello Michael, hello Jim, hello everyone. This song is composed in 5 different parts. Okay, there is like a prelude that goes into Belleville, the theme, goes back to a prelude, goes back to the theme, and ends up on a coda, which is like a third prelude, so it does like that. Let me play you that melody first, just like that, so you can hear the melody and see where it's around, So it's a swing song that he composed, and it's the original melody is like that. Okay, so that's the melody that this song is going to be based on. He also, on the first part, based the song on a melody of Manoir de mes rêves, Castle of my dreams. See, this is a very floating melody, very beautiful, very impressionistic. Very influenced, of course, by the world of Debussy and Ravel, but especially Debussy is very like hazy and floating. It's haunted by the sound of the clarinet. There is a book called Le Grand Monde in France by a guy named Michel Tournier and Fournier and or Tournier. I always forget which one it is. I mix them up. He wrote one book, the poor guy, and he was sent to the First World War and he died, so he could never write another one, but it remains one of the great masterpieces of French literature, Le Grand Monde. It's translated in English as The Estate, okay, by a guy named Tournier. I can find the link later on and put it on if you're interested. It's the most exquisite, amazing impressionist book you can ever read. The whole book, you don't know what is the fine line between reality and dream, and it's amazing. And I have the feeling that this song is exactly the title for Castle of My Dreams, and there is something with a castle and a dream and all in that book. And also the music really reminds me of that book. Somehow they seem to be tied together. There is like something that tied them in the universe together. It's just my perception, of course. I'm never putting out the truth, but only an opinion and a perception. So if you want to read it, it's called The Estate. by Michel Tournier or Michel Fournier. I forget always which one of the two it is. All right, so I'm going to send a link later. Now, let me start with the first prelude, which includes these elements of Manoir de mes rêves, and then it goes to Belleville, clearly. He's gonna alternate moments of tension and I don't know how to say, you will see, like fortissimo and all, and he's gonna go back to like little moments that are like harp like dream. It's like one is like projecting in reality like aggressively, and then suddenly he goes back and he like contemplates inner beauty or something. All right, so see. The response to that. So these are the chords that make the whole melody of the Manoir de mes rêves. So that's what is the foundation for all that. There is here this moment where this it's the same thing as improvisation too. There's introduction, he does exactly that. And that's the scale. See what I mean? And then he responds here. See that? The first two notes are chords, exactly the chords from improvisation 2. So he kind of like, not so that he mixed both things, you know, because they're just in his system, but we see part of one thing here, part of one thing there, you put it together and you get the introduction of improvisation 2. See what I mean? So he goes back to this. Then it goes to a very beautiful, floating, mysterious sequence of chords. See that? So here G minor, but it's also more like a B flat. And he loves to do that. da, that 4 to 3, like I explained to you in the previous videos. D7. That's D major, D7, G minor. You see the play that he has. Once again, these chords. This is a D with a third in the bass. It's called a 6th inversion. It's different than that. See how it changes the quality to move the bass. It's called a D7 plus 4, meaning that the 7 is in the bass, but that's a D7 to a G minor. So it's like that. See that? Now, C, F. It's the way its voice is incredible, and everything resonates. The whole game is to just change those 2 notes. 2, 5, 1. Here it just does it. G minor, A7, and here a B flat. So you know when you play an A7, you just use your ears. I'm just saying all these things, A7, D minor. If you're not a musician, it doesn't matter. Just use your ears, you know. You know that if you hear that, that's where you want it to go. He goes to B flat. So instead of going, he's going. It's called a deceptive resolution. It goes back to D. Ah. Voilà. La bonne note en haut. The good note on top. Okay? So he does that sequence of chord in D, a response, and then he goes to the melody. So now we just finished that first section, okay? And now he's going to that melody. So he cuts that second note. He doesn't do. He does. And here it goes back to the second section of the prelude. All right, so what's great in this bridge for the guitar players who play it, or here. That's the chords that he used, so like 1 chord per beat is really fast. This chord here is a 7th chord that we tend to disregard. There's a little bit of disdain toward this chord because it's one of the first chords we learn, and it's really too bad because that's a chord Django uses all over the place. That's how he uses it here. Okay, so now the second prelude after that melody, which is the third part of the song. He goes back to a more floating aspect of things. Ah. You notice how the melody dee, da, 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 dee, da, 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 and the bass here, and you see this chord. That's like a altered B7. It's a bit crunchy. That's a chord he loves. It's an augmented chord coming from the. See that? In here. So we have a 7 chord for the guitar players, which is like that. So he put the flat 5 here. See the kind of like crunchy chord that he used, but he plays them like soft and he let them ring, you know. So although they are crunchy, if you play them like very aggressive, there is a certain effect about them. While if you just go like slowly on the strings like that, the note just resonate like all together and like create that living thing. All right, so then it's gonna respond to this motif. See that? How could he reach those voicings? Well, like that. He did it, so John, that's the question. How could he reach those voicings? He did it. So it works, you know. Don't forget that Django's could not really use these two for soloing, but he used them a lot in chords, you know. So there's no problem with that. So and here, see how the first chord is like that? That's a variation, but that's a B minor 7. It's just like very subtle. It's a difference. But he's, instead of doing, here he does. Okay? See the difference? And this is a gorgeous response. See that? Incredible. Like parallel thirds, like it has a very specific color. And here, this shows like the way he mapped E minor. When he goes from one thing to another like that, use all this texture with the slide here. Incredible. See here. does that like. See? And then it goes to a response that is very classical. It's the chord here, like augmented chord. Now, this is again a D chord with an F sharp in the bass. So a D in the 6th inversion, it's called. Okay, with a 3rd in the bass. But listen to the finesse of his thinking here. This note, which is the A, will stay as a pivot, and he ends up with the B flat here. See also the color that it has. That's the chord progression. He ends up in D and then he goes in B flat. It's really unexpected. But see, there's like really one note difference here. There's a question here. Do you think Django spent a long time preparing these pieces? You know, I'm not in Django's head. No one is, but everyone can sense it's a super genius, a bit like Chopin, you know. So I'm not sure like how different is improvisation and composition for a guy of this caliber. It all happens at the same time, it seems. You know, like Bach, who wrote like all these things like constantly. You know, like. Of course, when you compose, you improvise. The composition is your ability to organize ideas and save them. The improvisation is the ability to create on the moment. So, a guy like Django, who is a super composer and is super improviser, it's all the same thing, probably. But my guess, if I have to take one, I'm taking just a guess, you know, is he played a lot of these things, he knew them. That these are things that he has, and you find things throughout the pieces that are like similar and stuff. He understood some systems, and I think he had some melodies prepared, and he could turn around a system, you know, pick one voice, sing one or another that moment, but I think it pretty much is something that is like prepared, but not in the sense I compose and I prepare. That's my 2 cents on it. I'm not so sure, but that's how I perceive it, you know. So let me go back to this. So you see here how he moves those chords around. See that? He likes to do that, moving like chords in parallel. He does that a lot in these pieces. So B flat, E flat, da, 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 D7, G minor. It's so beautiful. The way he does da 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 dee dee da da da. It's very classical. But you see how he adds one voice by one voice? So he plays this one, this one, this one. It's like a C7 to an F. Then And it goes back to that like mysterious thing. Beautiful response. Announcing the next swing. See all these chords that they use now to get to that last section, fortissimo like that. Okay? It's like Manoir de mes rêves, but with a little bolero, and then here it changes the meter. Going back to quiet, but that's only momentarily. It's an illusion. You're going back to like. And now the final coda. Listen how beautiful that is. This phrase, just this phrase. It's amazing. This chord, it's like a G minor 6, but with a major 7. E7, E7, 9. And you see how he plays on that. So it's actually the melody of Manoir de mes rêves. Okay? And that's the end of the song. I think it's time for me to play the whole thing now. It's a tough one. All right. There you go, guys. There was the full Belleville by Django Reinhardt. What a piece of music. What an incredible thing, man. Django, the great master, great classical composer. I don't care what the journalists say, they don't recognize him. So, this is it for today, my friends. Tomorrow is the last one. Nuage. The solo also recorded the same day. It's even like, see, this one is like a big one, and Nuage is even like a step higher. It's a bit bigger, it's a bit longer, it's it's crazy. It's like the Himalaya. It's like to climb the Himalaya, to remember all these notes and stuff, and it's also hard to play these things. So, what a composer Django was. I'm really happy to share that with you. I see you put all these comments and stuff. I love it. You can check my website if you want to know like when we're going back on tour, which is going to resume soon. So check it out. Django Agogo has been moved 6, 7, 8 of October. And what else? Yeah, I give lessons. If you want lessons, contact me. Do not hesitate. You know, there is FaceTime, there is Skype and all. It's very easy. So I have a few spots open. If you want, I'm here for you. And that's it. Maybe you checked today. We were on NPR, on Fresh Air. If not, just listen to the podcast tomorrow. It was great to do that. And I think that's it, my friends. If you have like one last question or something, shoot now, because otherwise I'm going to turn it off. Anyway, sometimes I don't respond to all the comments and everything, and I don't say hello to every single person, but thank you so much. I really appreciate to see all your names on it and all your messages and stuff. It's really touching. And well, tomorrow, the last one already, you know. So tomorrow at noon in French, at midi en français, and at 3 p.m. in English. All right, guys. Peace.